for Jim, because Jim, do you know this, that song is the hit of the summer?
I'm not surprised by that, though.
I am so surprised by it, and for some reason I'm also surprised by your musical tastes.
Really?
Yes, I am.
I love that.
Are you even a guy? You're very androgynous.
No, you know what? You know, I'm just gonna say I don't really publicize the fact that it's a great song. That I think it's a good song.
That's all we talked about last week was this song. You're so lucky that Joshua isn't here. My name's Rich Rogemoser, folks, and you're listening to Hurt on the X. Joshua, the doctor's not with us. He's got his man crush going on. He's again off seeing Dave Matthews. This will be his, what do you think, 10th time, Jim?
Yeah.
10th time this tour.
Yeah, he keeps skipping the show for Dave Matthews.
Dave Matthews, yep.
That's ridiculous.
Yep. Yes, he does. So he will be back. I don't even know what state he's in. Does anybody know where he is?
He's in Syracuse or...
Syracuse? So he's still in New York State.
Yeah. How could his car even make it to Syracuse?
I don't know. The funniest thing in the world is when
Pennsylvania.
Joshua starts his car, it squeaks. It has this horrible squeaking noise for the first 20 minutes of the thing running. Did you ever hear it?
Yeah.
It's frightening.
Yeah. Have you seen the back of it recently?
The inside interior?
Yeah.
No.
Oh, it's terrible.
Yeah, it's like a garbage heap.
Yeah.
It's like a dumpster with wheels, really.
I don't know how he manages that.
He seems to like it. I told you the story. This is the true story about Josh. We would implore him to clean his car. Please clean your car, Josh. It smells bad. It smells bad in the driveway with the windows up. And he went and bought a huge thing of Tide with Febreze. Laundry detergent. And if you were going to get in his car, if somebody was going to get in his car, he would open up the Tide with Febreze and he would waft it around in the car to try to cover up the smell of the filth.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, worked well.
Yeah, I could see him doing that.
Today's show is going to be a great show, Jimmy, and I'll tell you why. Because I'm going to crush your Carly Rae Jepsen theory.
No, I know. I think it's already been crushed.
We're dedicating this show to this movement that it's come to my attention recently. There's a whole slew of young, attractive females that are out there playing rock and roll. That's with guitars, Jim.
I like that.
Not bedazzled microphones.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Do you even know what rock and roll is?
Yeah.
How did you even get this job engineering this show? I don't understand.
I don't know.
I'm very confused on this whole thing.
You guys found me on the street, remember that?
So we're gonna be joined in studio by a girl named Malia Macaron, who's from Rochester. She's won some awards of late. She's actually played on stage with Green Day, performs live. She's 21 years old. We have our resident crazy person, Jasmine Kane, who's gonna be joining us via phone.
I love Jasmine.
And another girl, Goldilocks, who all these girls make their living touring. And we've talked about Jasmine before in the past. That's kind of how the whole thing first started. Someone brought to my attention Jasmine Kane, who makes her living by doing bike rallies. All Sturgis, Daytona, all the heavy-duty bike rallies. I'm a father with a couple daughters, and when I have to look after you, which is like having a third daughter, but I would be concerned. I would be so concerned, and that's how we started talking about Jasmine. Then you got Jasmine on the phone, you realize this girl's got everything under control.
She's crazy.
She is crazy. Yeah. She's fun, though. She's a lot of fun. But she really does have everything under control. So it started me thinking more and more about how difficult it is for girls to get into this and break into this and stay into it. So we're gonna find out from all these girls.
That's good. That's a good show lined up.
And I really think that this is going to be the movement. I think we're at the beginning of a movement that's going to take off. I really do. It seems to be an important movement, and rock and roll's been stagnant for a while. Although Steven Tyler has left American Idol.
Yeah.
To save rock and roll. Did you hear about this?
Lookout World. Yes, I did.
Yeah, he's going to save rock and roll. He's going back to Aerosmith, and he's going to save rock and roll for all of us. Just like the Great White Buffalo. I don't think so. I think that that's one of the problems with rock and roll is the bands that we worship. Last week was the 50th anniversary of the Rolling Stones' first gig. 50 years. I mean, there's not a lot of young people that are interested in somebody that's been playing for 50 years.
I love the Rolling Stones.
Well, I mean, I love the Stones too, but, they're not really relevant anymore. Steven Tyler's not really relevant anymore. He's more of a circus sideshow freak, than anything else.
With a big mouth.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like he's going to write songs that are going to speak to a generation. I don't think that he's going to. And I think that was an important thing in rock and roll. And of late, I've actually wondered if rock and roll was done until I ran across, these young ladies who are going to be joining us. I wondered if it was done. I wondered if, maybe rock and roll as we know it, starting from what Elvis started, going all the way into the mid-'90s, I know there's a lot of offshoots of different types of music in there, but if we lumped it all together and called it rock and roll, has it been moved aside for Carly Rae Jepsen and Justin Bieber?
You know what it is? I think a lot of the older artists like Steven Tyler and even who else? Michael Jackson. They're incorporating those artists into like the Black Eyed Peas and stuff. Steven Tyler's in, Mick Jagger is in a song with the Black Eyed Peas, a new song.
Keeping him relevant, you think?
Yeah, I think that's what they're doing. They're kind of like sweeping them up and trying to keep them relevant, even though the kids of today don't know who they are. I think that's what's happening.
Well, I think it's good. I think it's good marketing for the older bands. But my question is, when I was a kid, you were judged by the bands you listened to. I mean, if you had REO Speedwagon on your folder, you didn't hang out with the kids that had AC/DC written on their folders. Right. And I'll bet you Malia's mom will agree with that, and I know Kim Marie will agree with it. You know, if you wore a Zeppelin T-shirt, you know, it was like the Beavis and Butthead thing. You didn't hang out with the Winger kid. You know, I mean, it's just that's the way it worked. Where we've lost that. We've definitely lost that. And I think back to, if you think back prior to Elvis starting everything. Before Elvis, there was Frank Sinatra, there was Dean Martin, there was Sammy Davis Jr., there was Bobby Darin. You'd go to a place like the Copacabana, you would see a band perform, a huge band with a front man singer, very subdued. You'd get dressed up and you'd go sit at a restaurant and that was the entertainment. Elvis came along and slowly but surely Copacabanas started closing all over the country. And to the point where there'd be maybe one in every town where there used to be 100 in every town. I almost see that happening now with rock clubs. Rock clubs are, you know, being pushed away for a club where you can get covered in foam and go do ecstasy at.
And there's DJ.
Yeah, exactly. DJs. Back to this DJ thing, which I'm against these DJs.
I know. I like to give you a hard time about it.
I know, and then you're telling me all the money that you're making being a DJ, and it's making me even madder.
Sorry.
It is.
Yeah, it's.
We're going to ask Malia too if she thinks that DJs are artists when we get her on the show. We're going to ask her. Don't be looking at the glass and telling her yes either, because we're going to find out what her opinion is. Because she's of the age. I mean, she really is of that age.
Yeah.
You know, people under the age of 27, in my opinion, that's what they listen to. When my band plays live, I see people over 35 for sure are who's out listening to bands, at least the stuff that I play.
I have a hunch that she won't side with me. It's just a hunch, just from the musical background that you guys were talking about before the show.
She might side with you. You don't know.
I think she's going to go with you.
She seems like a sweet girl, and she'll probably pity you because.
Yeah, and she might just say yes to me because she feels bad.
Exactly.
So.
Exactly. But I'm very concerned about rock and roll. But like I say, right now, I think that this new wave that's coming along is really going to change things.
Absolutely, I think so too.
The question too is, especially, and there's so many questions I have for these artists, because where do you even get your stuff played anymore? I mean, you can't. It's not like the old days where the record deal was the best thing in the world. The record deal anymore is so few and far between, and they're kind of useless unless you're a contrived band, you know.
It's so hard to get into radio stations.
Absolutely.
Big radio stations, unless you're the Breeze, don't even flinch anymore.
That's right. And going back to that Carly Rae Jepsen song, if Justin Bieber had not made that goofy video of himself and put it on YouTube, that song would have just disappeared.
Yeah, absolutely. It almost.
So that song broke on YouTube, if you think about it.
Absolutely, and you just have to be like bubblegum cookie cutter, or like stuff like that. You have to come up with stuff like that.